Every wide receiver in NFL history, the Hall of Famers, the draft busts, and everyone in between fits perfectly into one of these 7 levels. This ranking system has stayed true across generations of football. And while the vast majority never break through level 4, level 7 is where football immortality lives. But for level 1, the criteria is simple. For level 1, we're simply going to skip anyone taken after the 3rd round, since that wouldn't be fair. Most never get an opportunity to show what they can do. But we'll talk about some of the most trash wide receivers of all time. So naturally, we're going to start with Kadarius Toney. The New York Giants made this dude the 20th overall pick in 2021, thinking they had found their dynamic playmaker. What they got instead was a walking disaster. He was on 3 teams in 4 seasons. In his career, Toney manages 82 receptions for 760 yards across 35 games. That's just pathetic production for a first-round pick. His worst moment, I think we all remember, against the Bills. Toney lined up offsides on what should have been a game-winning touchdown. But he wasn't a rookie. It was just football stupidity at its finest. The man somehow finished with 2 Super Bowl rings, but he was completely useless in the second one because he was inactive. And the first one, somehow, against the Philadelphia Eagles, he had one of the greatest returns of all time. And speaking of the Eagles, you have Jalen Reagor. The Eagles took him 21st overall in 2020, 1 pick before Justin Jefferson. They passed on one of the greatest wide receivers of this generation for a guy who finished with 86 catches for just over 1,000 yards. His defining moment came against the Giants when he dropped a perfectly thrown touchdown pass that would have won them the game. And we can't forget about N'Keal Harry, a Patriots disaster. Taken 32nd overall in 2019, this 6'4" wide receiver was supposed to be the red zone threat for still Tom Brady at that time. Instead, he only gave them 64 catches for 714 yards over his 5 seasons in the NFL. You only tune in to see these guys play because you like the pain. It's not funny, it's not fun, you just like getting hurt. And that's it. Level 2 wide receivers are best suited as wide receiver 3s. Any team that's actually looking to make a deep playoff push, these are your guys, like Juju Smith-Schuster, Torrey Smith, Gabe Davis, Brandon Stokely. They typically are fan favorites, even though they're not the best wide receiver on the team. You might even get some solid stats, maybe 60 catches, 800 yards, 6 touchdowns. Take Juju for example. This dude had his moments in Pittsburgh, putting up over 1,400 yards in 2018, but his defining moment came in Kansas City once he got the flag against the Eagles in the Super Bowl. Then you have Torrey Smith, who's a perfect example of this. Most of his career, he was just there. He was solid, reliable, and the Ravens and the Eagles needed him on their deep playoff and eventual Super Bowl win runs. Gabe Davis is another classic level 2 guy. Had production in Buffalo, he was okay, and then all of a sudden he popped off in a divisional game for 4 touchdowns. And we can't forget about Brandon Stokely. He can make clutch catches. He finished 2004 with over 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns. They're the definition of NFL complementary pieces. Good enough to contribute to something, just not good enough to be the guy. Level 3 is wide receiver 2. Here we'll begin to talk about some good, even great wide receivers. Here we have Reggie Wayne, who was a perfect complement to Marvin Harrison in Indianapolis, putting up over 1,000 yards 6 times in his career and helping anchor one of the most potent passing attacks ever. Torrey Holt teamed up with Isaac Bruce to form the greatest show on turf. Devonta Smith has helped Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown become one of the most reliable targets in the league. But here's the thing. They all need the right situation to truly maximize their potential. Reggie Wayne had Peyton Manning, Torrey Holt had Kurt Warner, and Devonta Smith has Jalen Hurts, Saquon, and some of the best offensive pieces in the league. Even though they're not number 1 options, they usually end up forming deep connections with their fan bases and can stay relevant for over a decade because they're genuinely great receivers. But the bottom can fall out for these guys if you ask them to do too much. Level 4 is wide receiver 1s. We all know what they are. What separates them from just normal starters or even wide receiver 2s is that they have the ability to be the focal point of an offense. They command double teams from defensive coordinators, and they can lead their teams to championships. DK Metcalf is the perfect example. When he's on, he's absolutely dominant. That season where he had over 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns made him look like a future superstar. Keenan Allen, wide receiver 1, multiple-time Pro Bowler for almost a decade with the Chargers. Terry McLaurin has put up over 1,000 yards at least 4 times in his career. Amon-Ra St. Brown, multiple-time Pro Bowler. He put up 1,500 yards and was the wide receiver 1 on an NFC championship team. These guys are really, really good. They're just not the upper tier wide receiver ones like the next group. Everyone in level 5 can legitimately put the locker room on their backs. Whether you love them or hate them, their skill is undeniable. At their peaks, these guys are absolutely special. A.J. Brown taking Philadelphia to 2 Super Bowls and winning 1 within his first 4 years there. CeeDee Lamb single-handedly dragging Dallas out of offensive mediocrity. And then you have guys like Odell Beckham, who could have potentially been on level 6, but because of injuries, he has to be here on level 5. And the same goes with Michael Thomas. 2018 and 2019, he had 125 catches for over 1,400 yards and then 149 catches for over 1,700 yards, winning the Offensive Player of the Year award. These dudes were literally uncoverable, but then injuries derailed everything. And that's really level 5. Really, really great wide receivers who are just missing one piece, whether it be consistency, longevity, maybe championship pedigree, or they were just cut early due to injuries. They have the talent to be potentially the best wide receiver in football on any given Sunday, but they haven't quite put together the Hall of Fame career just yet. And level 6 is first ballot Hall of Famers. Some of these guys are so good that casual fans don't even appreciate what they're watching. Take Jamar Chase, just winning the Triple Crown at 24 years old, over 1,700 yards in 2024, almost dragging that mediocre Bengals offense to the playoffs. Tyreek Hill, with that surgical precision and all-time speed. His 2023 season was absolutely ridiculous. 119 catches for just under 1,800 yards. Larry Fitzgerald, doing things that shouldn't be physically possible with his hands and his body. That 2008 playoff run was absolutely legendary. 30 catches for 546 yards and 7 touchdowns in 4 games, single-handedly carrying Arizona to a Super Bowl appearance. Julio Jones had that combination of size, speed, and route running that was just unfair at his peak. From 2014 to 2019, he was absolutely dominant. 5 straight seasons of over 1,400 yards. Justin Jefferson, maybe the most talented route runner we've ever seen. His first 5 seasons have been historically great. Over 7,400 yards already. Multiple All-Pro selections, and winning the 2022 Offensive Player of the Year award. These guys are going to make the Hall of Fame. And here's where things get tricky. Because I don't know where to put Antonio Brown. Do you guys? He definitely is better than a level 5. He was a first ballot Hall of Famer. And then he went crazy. So I don't have him really on any tier, but he definitely would have been on level 6, maybe even level 7. Level 7s are masters. They are master wide receivers. They're extremely rare, maybe come by once in a generation. They operate on a completely different level. I think only 4 players have ever reached wide receiver mastery. That's Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, Terrell Owens, and Calvin Johnson. Jerry Rice holds all the records of all time for anything. Receiving yards, touchdowns, and he did that over a 2-decade span. Randy Moss, I don't think I need to say more. He was absolutely insane. Over 15,000 total yards, 156 total touchdowns, and that 2007 season with 23 touchdowns may never be matched. Terrell Owens, the combination of size, speed, and competitive fire. Over 15,000 yards, 153 touchdowns. And he proved that he could be productive, not just in one system, not just in 2, but in over 3 systems. He can be absolutely dominant. And Calvin Johnson with literally everything that was said above. He had the speed, the size, the hands, nothing off the field. He finished with over 11,000 yards and 83 touchdowns, peaking with the 3-year stretch of having over 1,600 yards, over 1,900 yards, and then over 1,400 yards all in a row. This is timeless excellence, unchallenged by any critic or detractor. In 100 years, when the history of football is written in textbooks, these 4 guys are going to be the first ones mentioned. So there you have it, the 7 levels of NFL wide receivers. From garbage tier busts who set franchises back years, to the masters who redefine what the position could be. Every receiver you've ever watched, every name you've ever heard, fits somewhere on this spectrum. Whether we're talking about wide receivers from the 80s or guys playing today, the levels remain the same. The game evolves, but greatness is greatness.